The anime talks about a victim of bullying who is going to become a YouTuber, whose content exposes foul bullying cases and gives tutorials on defending from bullies. The anime starts with showing a YouTube live streaming footage. The scene then shows a bald high school YouTuber named Paco, whose channel has 700,000 subscribers. He wants to celebrate his achievement by inviting a good-looking new YouTuber named Rumi. Paco is collaborating with Rumi. After explaining what her content is about, the scene shows their classmate who becomes Rumi's makeup model. Although he looks like a cursed doll, he is actually the main protagonist in this anime, Hoban. Paco then orders Snapper, his cameraman, to record their live streaming. Seeing Hoban, who keeps frowning, Paco forces him to smile on the camera. After the live streaming ends, Hoban is seen having difficulty removing makeup from his face. He asks himself who never fights back against the bullies. In his monologue, he is annoyed with his fate and compares his life with his classmates. Although Paco has suck grades, he understands how to earn money easily. Even the new YouTuber Rumi, who has only 5,000 subscribers, has a pretty look and good posture, which makes her life easier. Different from both of them, Hoban has got nothing to be proud of except his poor life. Moreover, he also doesn't have anything special in his life. After washing his face from the cursed makeup, he intends to come back to his class. Suddenly, Snapper, the bully, and also Paco's cameraman beats him hard. Hoban is used to kicks and punches from Paco and Snapper. He feels annoyed and stares at Snapper, who kicks him hard. Snapper almost feels frightened by the look in Hoban's eyes, but he later makes a joke about it to his classmates. Later, Hoban is surprised to hear Rumi can earn 30,000 yen from the short live streaming they did before. Paco then asks Rumi if he can get something in return for helping her, to which she promises to give something he was looking forward to. On the back of the class, Hoban and Snapper have the same idea about one thing. Different from Hoban, who cannot do anything or get information about becoming a YouTuber, Snapper can casually ask Paco the procedure. Paco then says that to become a YouTuber, minors cannot earn money, so he needs his parents' bank account so he can get the money. Hearing that, Snapper feels pessimistic because he took his parents' money. He believes his parents won't allow him to use their account. After that, Snapper asks Hoban to give him his mother's account, although he knows that Hoban has to do a part-time job and take care of his sick mother. Snapper doesn't seem to have sympathy toward Hoban, who lives his hard life. Despite being annoyed with the bullies, Hoban cannot do anything but hold back himself, as he knows what he will get if he fights them back. The scene switches to the hospital. After visiting his mother, who is trying to be strong in front of Hoban. His mother is worried about Hoban, whose bruises can be seen clearly on his face. Hoban convinces his mother that he won't fight. It is seen that Hoban has to work at a fast food restaurant for a week to get 30,000 yen, like what Paco and Rumi got. Besides his mother's treatment, there are still many needs that he must fulfill as the only child in his family. Hoban is seen to have a crush on his co-worker at the restaurant, Choi Bomi, who is nicknamed the goddess of the McDonald's restaurant. Apart from being beautiful, she also has a very beautiful posture for a girl her age. Just as he feels happy because he can talk with Bomi, Paco comes to the restaurant with his camera to meet Bomi. He reveals that his viewers wanted him to give a challenge to Bomi, the goddess of McDonald's, to make him a burger as the one in the flyer he brings in 30 seconds. Moreover, he explains that if she fails the challenge, she has to give him her phone number. Bomi looks frightened, and the other employees are also afraid that they will go viral. Unexpectedly, Hoban quickly finishes the order and tells Paco to leave. His colleagues praise Hoban's heroic act, while Hoban believes that Paco will beat him at school. Later that night, Hoban curses himself because he let Snapper do live streaming in his house. Snapper is doing a challenge from his viewer for the sake of 30,000 yen if he gets 30 kills. Hoban secretly spits on the ramen that Snapper asked before he started live streaming. He is annoying with Snapper because he doesn't only live stream in his house, but he also uses Hoban's computer and his mother's bank account for AdSense withdrawals. As Hoban walks towards Snapper to give the ramen, he trips over a cable and he accidentally spills hot ramen on him. Because of the accident, Snapper's live streaming is stopped before he gets his last 30 kills and earns 30,000 yen. Snapper becomes furious and he beats Hoban while cursing him. Hoban reaches his limit when Snapper badmouths his mother. He stands up and fights Snapper back, and they both start fighting. Long story short, after Snapper leaves his house, Hoban looks exhausted after what he went through all day. He then clicks off the electric socket to minimize the electricity bills and decides to sleep. However, without him realizing it, tomorrow will be the turning point of his life, because without them realizing it, Hoban only accidentally unplugged the monitor cable while the live streaming and other cable connections were still going on. Snapper calls Hoban the next morning and cries out loud, knowing that their fight last night is going viral around the world. Hoban excuses that he didn't upload the video, but Snapper explains that the live stream video will be uploaded automatically once the computer is turned off. Snapper then tells Hoban to delete the video because he cannot do it since the account uses Hoban's mother's details. Hoban learns the situation and is depressed knowing that he is now not only an average loser but also becomes a world-famous loser. But his expression changes after he reads a comment saying that the video AdSense can be availed for a nominal fee of 0.1 yen per view, and he is shocked to find the views of the video reach more than 10 million viewers. In other words, Hoban can get more or less 1 million yen from the video. In the school, it is seen that Hoban and Snapper experience different situations. Snapper enters the classroom and finds his classmates making fun of him. Snapper doesn't find it amusing and he tries to bully a nerd who is playing an online game on his phone. Snapper smacks his head and thinks he is going to gain his power back. However, the boy suddenly stands up and punches him back. He feels even more pathetic when Paco refuses to help him out. On the other hand, Hoban is in the hospital. He is informed that he needs to pay 120,000 yen for his mother's hospital bills. Hoban's worries about his viral video have gone because he can get a sum of money commensurate with the virality. Suddenly, Snapper appears and fights him on the street asking for half of the money Hoban got from YouTube. He complains about his position as Paco's right-hand man and cameraman is over and that he got nothing from the video except being a loser. After the fight ends, Hoban and Snapper sit on the bench. Hoban tries to console Snapper but still refuses to give him some money. Just then, Snapper shows him a video of their fight and threatens that he will upload the video. Therefore, in order to return his position and power, Snapper intends to team up with Hoban, who he thinks can be a long-term investment. However, after Snapper explains how complicated to run a YouTube account, manage the account, and make the content, he thinks that Hoban will fall for his tricks. Moreover, Hoban seems to accept his hand after he says that he will divide the money and give him 10% while the rest is for himself and the management fee. To his surprise, he doesn't expect that Hoban will refuse his offer and humiliate him. After refusing the offer, Hoban leaves Snapper alone. Snapper doesn't want to lose his only chance to rise back and he makes another offer to Hoban. The scene shows Paco inviting Hoban and Snapper to his channel to gain more fame and social respect. Snapper seems to force Hoban to do their plan while Hoban seems to wait for the right moment to do something. Suddenly, Paco makes a move and surprises everyone, including Paco, who is announcing about a computer as the giveaway that Paco will give to his lucky subscriber. Hoban keeps revealing the facts about Bullies Paco has been committing on his live streaming. Everyone looks interested and starts crowding around, and a girl in a yellow jacket hops to see it clearly. Unfortunately, even though it runs as he planned, Paco suddenly laughs out loud and says that he stopped streaming because his phone ran out of batteries. Then Paco lands his hand on Hoban, beating him up. Unexpectedly, Snapper has anticipated the outcome and keeps increasing their viewers. The viewers who watch their live streaming don't seem to believe that a YouTuber with 700,000 subscribers like Paco is actually a piece of trash bully. Snapper looks at Hoban and is surprised by the look in his eyes and his courage to take a stance to pick a fight with Paco. Even though their body sizes differ greatly, Hoban remains firm in his stance to get up and fight. Hoban thinks that someone will come to stop them, but it turns out everyone is afraid of Paco and doesn't want to interfere in their affairs. Different from Paco, who has a bulky posture, terrifying muscles, tattoos, and look in the eyes of a high school student such as himself, Hoban has a scrawny body. Hoban, who is thinking of using a technique he saw in Hollywood movies, is triggered by Paco, who talks about his mother who suffers from cancer and is hospitalized. Angry, Hoban attacks Paco by grabbing his thigh. However, he ends up being slammed hard to the floor. Hoban is shocked by his move and just realizes that size differences are very important in a fight. He remembers his fight with Snapper was like child play and thinks that this is the real fight. As he thinks that this is the end, Paco leans closer to him and is about to punch him, but is stopped by someone. Suddenly, the viewers of the streaming go wild as they see Kim Moonsung appear on the screen, who is nicknamed the Incredible Rookie of the MMA world. Afraid of the MMA superstar like Moonsung, Paco leaves the class immediately. After things get calm, Snapper approaches Hoban and praises him for being brave although he got beaten really hard. He tells Hoban that he got several fans because of his courage. Later that night, Paco arrives at his home and feels thankful that his phone died this afternoon. However, he is shocked when he finds out the messages he receives. Meanwhile, Hoban is having a shower and feels awesome while posing in the mirror. The point is, after the bully video, Paco, the YouTuber with 700,000 subscribers who turns out to be a bully, becomes viral everywhere. Then the clarification video is made to cover up his case, but is showered with tons of facts, and now Paco's contents are labeled as lies. What's even worse is that a netizen even made a countdown site of Paco's subscribers, which was originally 700,000, but is now only 400 subscribers. Long story short, after receiving advice from Snapper, who also asked him to learn how to survive a fight for at least 3 minutes to get more money from AdSense, Hoban looks confused about what he can do to survive a fight for 3 minutes. He starts searching online, but he finds it hard to copy the techniques. Then, at a moment when he wanted to search for tips on YouTube and he made a typo, he is surprised that the account with that words exists. It is called Dokobaku Kenka with 0 subscribers. Thinking that the channel is just a typo channel account left by its creator, he is surprised that the channel actually has many videos. Hoban then decides to watch a video and is surprised to see a man in a rooster mask appear on the video. Hoban seems to listen to the tutorials from Sambak the Chickenhead carefully. First, Sambak advises not to get carried away by emotions because this won't throw out fists but only throws out emotion. In other words, he advises us to stay calm so that we can avoid the attack and think of what to do next. Therefore, if the opponent loses his control, we can take advantage of the fight. Although Hoban watches the video carefully at first, when Sambak is about to teach a technique about how to get hit without getting hurt, Hoban thinks the channel is a fraud and decides to stop watching. He thinks that the channel only uploaded a hoax to attract viewers and get some money. Later, Hoban decides to quit his job at the restaurant so he can focus on making content with Snapper. At the same time, Bomi, who heard her colleagues talking about Hoban quitting his job, approaches him, who is being lectured by their manager. The scene switches to the school and shows Hoban, who smiles broadly while looking at his phone. Just then, Snapper appears at his desk, stopping him from smiling. Snapper asks Hoban's opinion about his channel, which has reached 100,000 subscribers. Snapper gets a little bit upset because Hoban hasn't thought about a way to stay in a fight for 3 minutes. Hoban is about to make an excuse when suddenly Rumi approaches him and asks him if she can get a collab with him. Hoban and Snapper don't seem to trust Rumi, who previously sided with Paco, but Rumi convinces them, saying that her viewers wanted her to collaborate with Hoban. Just then, Paco shows up when they are having a conversation and asks Hoban to take responsibility for destroying his famous channel. On the other hand, Hoban feels a bit strange because he finds Sambak's words in the channel he watched previously can be implemented in his current situation. Hoban miraculously manages to dodge Paco's attack and intends to go to the next step to use the painless technique while getting hit. As he's about to take the hit, Paco stops as Snapper appears behind Hoban while holding his camera. Snapper doesn't want to waste the chance to take him down even deeper and rocket his channel with Hoban by threatening Paco with a video. Paco is furious and swears that he will make them pay and leaves the class after that. The next morning, Hoban is seen waiting for Snapper to discuss their next content. When he's about to call Bomi, 2 people who claim to be his fans appear. He's surprised by YouTuber power, which can make people with scary faces like them can be very friendly. Hoban doesn't suspect them at all, even though they ask about the number of AdSense he got. When they try to rob him, Snapper comes and intends to save his partner but ends up getting hit by the man. He then takes Hoban's phone so Hoban cannot call the police, although he actually only wanted to loot Hoban's stuff. Instead of worrying about his folder or his main email for his channel, Hoban worries that he cannot call Bomi. Hoban calls them and tells them to take Snapper's latest model cell phone. Hearing that, Snapper wakes up and tells Hoban to chase them because it turns out he has secretly started streaming. He then tells Hoban that he can get many viewers and get much money. Moments later, we see Hoban confronting his 2 muggers at a karaoke joint. Hoban recalls watching Sambak's video and being instructed to determine his opponent's dominant hand. This guy is right-handed because that's how he holds the mic. According to Sambak, you should stand on the left side of a right-handed opponent so that they can raise their fists more easily. Hoban decides that if he's going to be hit by this guy anyway, he might as well try what Sambak taught in his video. According to Sambak, even if a person cannot dodge a punch very well, they can still react to it in another way. Hoban anticipates the right-handed punch, so he surprises everyone with the how to get hit without getting hurt technique. Surprisingly, Hoban is completely unharmed. According to Sambak, a punch is most powerful at the moment it reaches its target. This means that if a person can enter a strike before it becomes too powerful, they can avoid injury. Sambak also showed how to give a headbutt by pulling in your chin. Hoban is stunned that he was not injured, but he is at a loss for what to do next. The thug calls him a masochist and launches another attack, but Hoban realizes that he reacted too slowly. Fortunately, Sambak had given instructions for this situation as well. It is extremely difficult for a regular person to react correctly to every punch, but it is also extremely difficult for a regular person to land every punch. The thug shockingly missed his punch, which was due to Sambak teaching Hoban that it is extremely difficult for a normal person to hit someone who is moving quickly. Weaving is the name given to this boxing technique. As long as Hoban tries and fails to hit his opponent's fist with his head, he will appear to be a boxer with excellent weaving technique. Stepback also taught that by focusing on hitting the opponent's fist, Hoban's fear of the fist will be reduced. Then his opponent's rage causes him to miss even more. Furthermore, because of the get hit without getting hurt technique, Hoban will not feel any pain if they hit him. In his video, Stepback proudly stated that Hoban should no longer be afraid to fight. This is precisely what has happened, as the more confident Hoban now demands that the thug return his phone so he can respond to Bomi. The guy has no idea who Bomi is, so he keeps attacking, but Hoban continues to use Stepback's techniques. He continues to hit the guy's fist with his head, but to everyone else, he appears to be allowing himself to be punched. The thug wonders why he isn't dodging, and Hoban's live stream chat erupts with cheers for him. Hoban is gaining confidence, but he wishes he had seen more of Stepback's videos. He only watched the one about getting hit without being hurt, so he doesn't know what else to do. Stepback pays close attention but considers how terrible this is. The fight is moving too slowly because the fighters appear to be exhausting each other and they are losing viewers. Snapper preferred longer fights, but if they last too long, people become bored. Snapper considers calling the fight off, but then he notices a message from a viewer named Ding. Ding was the viewer who recognized Kim as the MA star, and he appears to be knowledgeable about martial arts. According to Ding, Hoban will win the fight against the thug. Everyone else in the chat points out that Hoban has been getting beat up, but Ding simply refers to them all as amateurs. Ding points out that the thug didn't realize it because of the adrenaline, but his fists are in serious trouble. As they notice, the conversation becomes chaotic, and the thug is perplexed by what is going on with his fists. Ding explains that hitting a punching bag for too long can cause fists to swell, but this thug went too far and hit Hoban's rock-hard forehead far too many times. The thug's adrenaline wears off and the unbearable pain sets in, as predicted by Ding. Snapper is astounded by Hoban's victory. Snapper is concerned that his hospital bill will exceed the video revenue because Hoban's face is so messed up. Snapper sees it as an investment because they gained a lot of followers as a result of the fight, but Hoban is more concerned with how he will respond to Bomi. The live stream ends and Hoban explains that the video he posted received over 1 million views in a week. His viral hit channel now has 4 videos totaling 25 million views. In addition, they received their first payout of just under $113,000. Snapper explains that they had to get approved first, and it took some time before they could place ads in their videos. Hoban is excited to continue because the payout for their first one was decent. He believes their videos should be more sensational and violent, but Snapper points out that they have been fortunate to avoid receiving a yellow mark thus far. When a video receives a yellow mark, it indicates that it was demonetized. This is something that all new YouTubers are concerned about. If YouTube determines that their video is too violent or contains excessively aggressive content, it will be given a yellow mark. Just then, the guys notice Rumi, but Snapper pulls Hoban away from her when he realizes she is after their audience. They eventually make it out, but Hoban is distracted by a cool-looking tracksuit. He assumes it will cost $200 or $300 and considers purchasing it because he has just been paid. However, Hoban is astounded to learn that it costs nearly $140,000. He realizes that this is the amount he owes Snapper for an entire month's worth of work, and he wonders who would be crazy enough to buy it. He is taken aback when Snapper announces that he has already bought the suit. Hoban points out that that is an entire month's pay, but Snapper considers these items to be basic necessities. He believes that everyone requires at least one of these, so he suggests that Hoban purchase one as well. Just then, Hoban realizes that it doesn't matter how much money someone has. Only the wealthy know how to spend large sums of money responsibly. Realizing this, Hoban acts like a responsible person and declines to purchase the suit. Just then, Hoban receives a text message from Bomi, which surprises him. Seconds later, we see that Hoban has abandoned all responsible behavior by purchasing the ridiculously expensive suit because Bomi requested to meet with him. Everyone around him wonders if the suit is a forgery, assuming that a child his age cannot afford it. Hoban convinces himself that it was a good investment, but he wonders why Bomi chose such a crowded location to meet up. Hoban decides to start a live stream, but those around him begin to recognize him. They mock him for selling out his classmate Paco in order to become famous, and they speculate on how wealthy he must be because he is wearing the suit. Hoban notices that they believe they can say whatever they want about him, which makes him realize that fame isn't everything. His fans, on the other hand, are on his side. They tell him not to take their comments too seriously, and one even encourages Hoban to fight everyone who is disparaging him. Hoban expresses gratitude to his audience, emphasizing that they are all he has. Just then, the girl enthusiastically requests an autograph, but she is actually speaking with another YouTuber named G1. G1 is interviewing people on the street, so he asks a pretty girl some questions, but she says she is meeting someone. G1 believes it's her boyfriend, but Balmy ends up pointing to Hoban. Bomi then points out that they are twinsies, but she's also dressed in the overpriced suit. Hoban then tells us how he was always envious of the popular students at school. He was always short and unathletic, and he never got good grades. He believed that school reflected society as a whole in terms of survival of the fittest. It is only natural for the weaker animal to give way to the stronger. Paco would always put him down to demonstrate this. Paco, on the other hand, was no exception, as he was put in his place by the stronger Kim. Hoban has always admired Kim because of this. Hoban, on the other hand, no longer thinks this way because Bomi is right here to meet with him. He doesn't need to be popular, and he's no longer concerned about his weakness. Everyone is taken aback to see the two together, and their hands accidentally come into contact. Hoban gets carried away as he envisions himself returning home to Bomi after a long day at work. He gave Bomi flowers in his mind. She wonders why one bouquet does not have flowers in it, so the smooth Hoban explains that this is because she is the most beautiful flower. Hoban is then greeted by their children, but his daughter reminds out that he is merely dreaming. Hoban knows how stupid he is for fantasizing after only holding hands, but Bomi simply believes he is a guy with few words. A couple nearby believes they look attractive since they wear identical clothing. The guy feels horrible for Bomi, however, because girls dislike being seen with shorter men. The person is certain that they cannot hear them, but Hoban can. Hoban believed that Bomi was bored by someone like him, but he now believes that she is embarrassed to be with him. Hoban is moved by their remarks and takes off his jacket. Bomi eagerly queries Hoban about himself, but Hoban is reserved and only provides brief responses. Bomi loses interest as she continues to inquire, but she ultimately gives up. She chooses to depart and adds that, while Hoban is excellent to communicate with, he has hardly said anything to her in person. Bomi apologizes for forcing him to put up with her, but Hoban tells the truth. He remarks that she must be bored with him, and he admits that he has never gone out with a female before. He starts answering her questions and admits that he didn't earlier because he was embarrassed by his responses. He also says that he wasn't eating since he was too preoccupied with her attractiveness. Bomi becomes concerned as he begins to sweat profusely, but he explains that he sat by the window because he felt the sun would be too hot for her. Bomi enjoyed it all, and some weirdo who was observing them the entire time thinks about how wonderfully Hoban played it. Outside, Hoban feels like Bomi's lover, and she mentions that she just received a phone call from an old acquaintance. This individual attends Hoban's school, but Hoban is taken aback when she exposes her identity as Kim. Hoban is terrified to learn that Bomi's friend is the man with everything, the one with whom he can't even speak at school. Hoban's mind wanders as he experiences the same daydream about returning home from work. This time, however, Kim is Bomi's spouse, and Hoban is only a visitor who entered their home. Kim calls him a loser who is after his girl, and his daughter encourages him to get back up. Hoban chooses to lie to Bomi, claiming that he and Kim are truly very good friends. Bomi is overjoyed to hear this, but Hoban is terrified since he doesn't want her to know he is part of the loser club. However, Hoban quickly regrets lying because Kim is standing there. Bomi greets him warmly and wonders if he and Hoban are truly good friends. Kim only glances at Hoban as he panics. Hoban understands he has committed a serious error and apologizes to Bomi in his head for lying. There's no way for her to know, but losers have an unwritten rule: never claim to be close friends with anyone. Hoban breached the rule to show off. All he wanted was to keep shining brilliantly in her eyes. The guy's quiet makes Bomi question if something is wrong, so Hoban prepares for the dreadful moment. He is prepared to be punished for his deception and considers how he will never see Bomi again. Surprisingly, Kim just responds that he believes they are buddies and are in the same class. He barely remembers Hoban's name and is aware that he does YouTube videos. Kim points out that they are wearing the same outfit, so Hoban refers to them as twinsies. This isn't the greatest way out of the problem, but Hoban considers how much he dislikes how pleased it has made him. The three of them go on a walk, but Hoban believes he is plainly the third wheel. He informs them that he has an ingrown toenail that is causing him a lot of agony, therefore he needs to leave. Hoban pretended to hobble away, wishing he had thought of a better tale. Snapper appears nearby, revealing that he was watching and streaming everything. He believed Hoban was doing well and wished he'd stayed with them. Hoban, on the other hand, points out that Snapper has no concept what it's like to be the third wheel between two really gorgeous people. Hoban thinks himself an unsightly ingrown toenail in comparison to others. They just live in separate worlds, and no one knows this better than him. Snapper argues that love is like fighting a battle, and Hoban cannot just quit up because a formidable opponent has emerged. Hoban claims that he can never lose if he doesn't fight, while Snapper deems him a coward. Snapper then recalls something a basketball coach ever said. He cites him dramatically, stating, "If you give up, then the game is already over." Snapper then reminds out that Bomi invited him out to have some coffee. She was definitely looking forward to spending time with Hoban, and she appeared unhappy when he stated he was going. Snapper becomes even more dramatic as his voice cracks from his intense speech, claiming that Hoban is closer to triumph than any of his competitors. Hoban becomes tearful, thanking Snapper for opening his eyes. Snapper tells Hoban that they are pals and urges him to express his feelings to Balmy. Hoban rushes out to do precisely that, but we see Snapper as once again only attempting to create material. He becomes aroused and considers titling the stream, "I confessed my love to a friend and got rejected." The conversation discusses how they would hate to have Snapper as a buddy, and Snapper stops running when he is shocked by anything. Hoban rejoins the group and Kim offers to remove his ingrown toenail. Hoban claims he's well now, so Kim departs for practice because he has a match next week. Hoban now sees that Kim and Balmy were not on a date, and he became disheartened for no reason. Just thereafter, Kim unexpectedly informs Hoban that he is a skilled fighter. Kim viewed Hoban's film versus the Thug and noticed that he was accepting blows early to reduce discomfort. More significantly, Kim feels Hoban did not make the next move on purpose. Hoban considers how Kim knew everything, but he has no idea what next action he is discussing. Kim leaves, but Hoban wonders whether anybody else knows about the hidden Chicken Man films. Balmy knows Hoban has returned to tell her something, but he is very frightened. He eventually asks her what her ideal person is, and she responds she wants someone who is honest. Given this, Hoban chooses to be open and honest about his feelings. He imagines telling her that she embodies his ideas, but he can't just yet. First, he confronts Snapper for attempting to broadcast this scene. Hoban is taken aback when he notices Snapper's face is all torn up and Paco appears to be returning for revenge. Balmy asks what this guy's problem is, but Hoban just instructs her to go right now. Paco refuses to let her leave, pointing out that she lied not to be interested in boys when he asked for her phone number. He insults her even more, so Hoban has to tell himself to be cool. The Chicken Man taught him that there are no easier opponents than those who are fired up. Hoban maintains complete control of his emotions and intends to rile up Paco first. Hoban easily performs this with a sneer, prompting Paco to strike him. Hoban prepares to execute his get punched without getting hurt method, but Paco unexpectedly strikes him with an uppercut. He altered up the punch because he had already seen Hoban's previous video. The Chicken Man stated in his video that only a fool would repeat the same move. Unfortunately, the get punched without getting hurt strategy is readily countered with an uppercut. Hoban now takes a thrashing as Balmy worries about him and he wishes he had viewed Sandback's earlier vids. He hopes he can remember the next move Kim stated, but his mind is utterly blank right now. At this point, Hoban's life flashes before his eyes. He was constantly being beaten up, and then he was given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. A hidden channel taught him how to fight, and he was pleased when he discovered how to get money from it. However, he grew complacent and stopped learning to fight. He must now bear the consequences of his actions, since he has once again become a loser. As Paco prepares to annihilate him, Hoban recalls how he used to believe that being hit was preferable to attempting to resist. His wounds would heal, and the pain would lessen with time. However, this time is markedly different. Balmy is observing and he is certain that this type of wound will not heal. He does not want her to see him looking so sad, so he requests that Paco simply let her go home. Paco simply begins beating him up again, and Hoban considers how he must ensure that Balmy returns home no matter what. He wishes to conceal the reality that he is a useless weakling from her. Hoban starts snarling, but he can't believe he's doing it in front of the girl he adores. This isn't enough for Paco, so he orders Hoban to remove his pants, making him appear even more foolish. Paco then suddenly discloses that he is forcing Snapper to broadcast all of this live on his Paco YouTube channel. Paco wonders how many watchers they have, while Snapper apologizes to Hoban. Paco emphasizes that if Hoban simply performs what he says, he will forgive him. Just then, Hoban is embarrassed when the lady he loves smacks Paco, demonstrating more guts than him. Paco grows enraged and instructs Snapper to point the camera away. He intends to hit Balmy, but will not do so on television. Everyone is startled when Hoban takes his pants down. He knows he can't defeat Paco in a real battle, so this is the only way he can defend the girl he loves. Paco cannot believe he did that and notes that Hoban's subscription count has undoubtedly decreased as a result of this embarrassing incident. He insists that Hoban send the money he has left and cancel his YouTube account. Just then, Hoban demonstrates his extreme dedication by revealing his true plan to even remove his boxers. Paco feels worried since streaming this live would result in his YouTube account being permanently suspended. However, Hoban has already made his decision as he bids Balmy farewell and proclaims that this is his final act of resistance. Paco begs him to stop, but he doesn't have to since Kim unexpectedly returns to stop Hoban. Hoban is outraged, however, since Kim is robbing him of the little pride he still has. Kim watched the transmission and went to the spot. Hoban then watches as Kim effortlessly defeats all of the guys, including Paco, who begs for his life. Hobin feels so embarrassed of himself that he cannot raise his head. Bomi is concerned about him, but Kim says that what Hobin really needs right now is to be alone. Hobin wonders when he becomes such a terrible excuse for a human being. He believes it was when his father left, but he later remembers that he was happy when he first started school. When he met Paco, things really started to go wrong. He couldn't understand why Paco was striking him, which is understandable given that Paco never had a reason. That's when Hobin started disliking school and couldn't look people in the eyes. His body began to shrivel and his terror reached a height. Hobin is like that again, sobbing furiously while Snapper apologizes. At school, Paco resumes streaming to just his most devoted followers. Snapper is his makeup model this time, and he's wondering where Hobin is. Hobin has not returned to school after the event, but it has already been many days. Paco pushes Snapper to welcome his viewers, which he does, but Snapper is only concerned about how he would properly apologize to Hobin. Bomi is dissatisfied at Whack-Donald's since Hobin does not return her phone calls. Hobin returns home and tells us that he just wants to disappear. However, Hobin isn't only feeling sorry for himself. After, we see that Samdak's videos are playing on Hobin's PC. Samdak declares that miracles do not happen to those who do not make an effort. The fighting method demonstrated in this video is titled How to Fight and Beat a Regular Person. We next watch as our child Hobin performs several push-ups while explaining that he is determined to alter himself. According to Samdak, it takes much more than just watching YouTube videos to motivate individuals to alter themselves. The key to persuading someone to change is within them. It is their wrath against themselves, thus they must fuel their rage. Hobin does just that, working hard to transform as if nothing else in the world matters. Samdak claims that learning the skills in this one video will take a whole month. Back at school, Paco beat up Snapper while live streaming. He worries if Hobin is really going to abandon his companion to the wolves and asks Hobin to come and save him. Snapper warns Hobin not to come and begs him to stay at home where it is safe. Hobin is watching as Snapper tells him not to come to school. Surprisingly, Hobin is already present. Snapper is astounded by what he sees, and the strange girl hurries over to investigate. Hobin hands Snapper his phone, and Snapper is surprised to discover that he has already begun his live stream. Hobin instructs Snapper to begin filming him and announces that today's live stream will be titled How to Fight and Beat a Regular Person. A day before, Snapper denied ever being pals with Hobin. He volunteered to be Rumi's producer instead and even informed Paco that he simply tolerated Hobin as a business partner. Snapper even referred to Hobin as a loser, but Paco beat him up for betraying him in order to gain Hobin's trust. Paco pointed out that he's now betraying Hobin, which made him question if Snapper ever felt bad of sucking up to everyone he met. Everyone gazed at him with contempt, and Snapper agreed that he is the worst type of guy. To live, he sucked up to people who were stronger than him. He can't fight or obtain high grades, so this is his last chance to climb forward. Snapper doesn't have a single buddy that can aid him. Paco resumed his stream, and Snapper indicated that Paco's channel had returned somehow. Despite being revealed, he was quickly accepted back into society. Paco's new style of being incredibly boisterous has grown in popularity, and he just celebrated exceeding 900,000 members. Meanwhile, Viral Hits' subscriber count continued to decline due to Hobin's absence and the lack of new videos. Fortunately, there were still a few faithful followers waiting for his return, though it was unclear how long they would have to wait. Following that, Paco devised a plan to attain 1 million users. He instructed Snapper to convince Hobin to return to school the next day. Snapper becomes enraged in his thinking, believing Paco is vile for asking him to sell off his pal. However, Paco offers to make Snapper his cameraman again if his plan to achieve 1 million subscribers is successful, and Snapper accepts. Snapper even said that Hobin was never his friend in the first place. Snapper reflects on how he had no option but to accept to this since it was an opportunity and he needed to survive anyhow. Snapper hurried to the hospital and asked Hobin's mother for their address. He has been to their house previously, but he can't remember which one. She is horrified to learn that Hobin has not been attending school, and Snapper just explains that it is necessary. Snapper explains his acts by reflecting on how he must survive no matter what. Snapper exclaims that he is rescued once she gives him their address, but we later learn that he was beaten up again at school the next day. Paco is to blame because he is unhappy that Snapper was unable to convince Hobin to attend. Snapper is now the laughing stock since he will not receive the $300 that someone promised him for a small job he was working on. Snapper reveals that he went to Hobin's residence and yelled for him, but he never came out. Paco doesn't care and simply beats him up even more. He decides to give Snapper one final shot to persuade Hobin to attend school and launches his live webcast. Paco is completely surprised when Snapper does the opposite. He instructs Hobin not to attend to school and says that Paco would receive $300 only for knocking him up. Snapper warns Hoban that Paco may commit suicide this time, so he advises him to stay at home. Paco loses it completely and strikes Snapper in the face. We then learn why Snapper had a change of heart. The day prior, Snapper spoke with Hoban's mother, who informed him that Hoban told her about him. Hoban expressed his happiness at finally having a friend in class. Snapper was taken aback when he informed her that his new companion had made school much more enjoyable for him. Snapper now takes a pounding and reflects on how, despite being a backstabber who is all talk, Hoban gradually refers to him as a buddy. Knowing this, he cannot betray Hoban now. We then return to the present when Hoban attends school despite Snapper's pleas for him to remain away. Hobbit makes sure Snapper is watching and announces that the title will be How to Fight and Be a Regular Person. Snapper is surprised to see Hoban behaving so calm, but he notices that Hoban has a speech scribbled on his hand. Hoban begins by doing his get hit without being wounded technique. Snapper becomes concerned since Paco has already beaten it. Paco is frustrated as well since Hoban should know that this move would not work on him, so he moves in for another uppercut. A glance back a month reveals what happened after Hoban thoroughly disgraced himself. He realized he had become overconfident, assuming that he was a terrific boxer. He ended up embarrassing himself in front of Bomi, and he questioned if he should never see her again. Hoban assumed he'd never have to face his audience again, but that would mean he couldn't pay his mother's medical fees. Hoban was at rock bottom, questioning why he had to be so weak and useless. If this were an anime, some miracle would have made him stronger right away, but Hoban was well aware that this is reality. However, Hoban suddenly recognized that he had his own type of miracle, the hidden YouTube channel. Hoban went on to the Chicken Man's second instruction on fighting, which was how to fight and defeat an ordinary human. Sandbach indicated that Hoban's commitment would now be tested, since the next skill would take a whole month to learn. The first of the 3 fighting essentials is to strengthen your physique. Sandbach advised him to consume high-quality proteins to build his muscular mass. Professional fighters have strategies to compensate for size inequalities, but novice fighters do not, thus they must strengthen their bodies to withstand blows. Hoban concocted a protein smoothie from raw meat, but he ended up puking it up. Hoban became overly thrilled and missed a portion of the video in which Sand suggested that he just buy protein drinks. Willpower is the second key component of battling. Hoban didn't have the money to buy protein drinks, but he was serious about it, so he used his willpower to compel himself to drink the shakes he produced. Sandbach added that overeating may cause him to gain weight, so he needed to exercise as well. Stamina was the third necessary. Sandbach told him to go to the pool because swimming is the finest activity for increasing stamina. Stamina is vital since it allows him to survive longer during a fight. Sandbach has developed a technique to improve metabolism while swimming, which involves swimming with his hands balled up into fists. Hoban knew swimming pools were packed with happy extroverts, so he couldn't go there. However, he was so determined that he swam out of a public bath instead. Despite exhaustion, Hoban's drive remained unwavering. However, Sadak surprised him by revealing that the significant improvements in his builder stamina could not be achieved in a month. What he taught him, however, provides a solid basis. What a new combatant requires is a weapon called technique. This made Hoban very eager as he prepared to learn a tremendous move. Sandbach then presented the following question: which mixed martial arts are most suited for brawling? A journalist once questioned a renowned martial artist, if you were a weak kid being bullied, which martial art would you want to know? This guy's response was only one talent, and it wasn't boxing. Hoban became quite delighted at this moment when Sandbach announced that he would divulge the secret now, which was the champion's response. Sandbach then instructed Hoban on how to take the right posture, placing all of his weight on his front foot. With all stress removed from the rear foot, Sandbach designed Hoban's body to spin as if turning to look behind him. Back in the present, Hoban performs an MMA-style technique on Paco known as a low kick. Everyone is surprised, even Hoban, who can't believe he actually landed it. Sandbach had Hoban practice this low kick 10,000 times over the last month. He assured that as long as people took it seriously, they would see results because hard effort never fails anybody. Hoban is stunned, however, as Paco simply chuckles at the kick. He is familiar with the low kick motion and points out that you should aim for the thigh while utilizing it. However, Smapper notices the elderly man named Ding in the discussion again, and he claims that Hoban hit the kick exactly on target. Snapper is surprised when Kim discovers that Hoban did it on purpose. He executed an MMA-style low kick. It is an enhanced low kick that maximizes the low kick's strength, and it is known as the calf kick. Unlike more typical kicks where damage accumulates over time, the calf kick causes quick damage in a single blow. Kim is impressed since it is not a technique that a newbie can readily do, and he contemplates subscribing to Hoban's channel. This was a move he expected Hoban to use next when they spoke earlier. Stanback also taught Hoban that running away is a valuable technique, especially when confronted with a larger opponent. Hoban knows Paco will destroy him if he gets hold of him, so he stays away. However, when a chance arises, he employs the calf kick. Everyone watching, including the audience, is impressed, but Kim worries why Hoban isn't taking the next step. Something simply doesn't feel right to him, and he is surprised when he discovers it. Just then, Paco learns that the calf kick is all Hoban knows. Everyone observes, and they can't believe Hoban attempted to fight Paco with a single kick. Paco then states that it will no longer operate. Stanback highlighted in his video that while the calf kick is crucial, it is also simple to predict. Learning 2 movements in 1 month is quite challenging, but Stanback reveals that he also taught another move during training. Paco sees another calf kick coming, but Hoban reflects on how he has changed. Stanback instructed him that he will discover an opportunity after his opponent focuses on the calf kick. Paco is now entirely focused on Hoban's next kick, but Hoban claims that he is no longer a loser. Hoban suddenly balls up his fist, demonstrating the power he gained by swimming this manner. He names the technique the overhand hook, and he completely crushes Paco with it. Hoban labels Paco a hopeless dirtbag, and everyone is stunned as Hoban stands in victory. Some of Paco's buddies attempt to get retribution, but Snapper warns them to back off. He swears that if they even think of touching his companion Hoban, they would be punished. Snapper is currently thinking about how he will safeguard Hoban. Snapper, like a genuine buddy, resolves that if Hoban is hit, he will also be hit. He had no idea Hoban considered him a buddy until Hoban's mother told him. Snapper is startled to see how afraid the bullies are of him, but it is all due of Kim. Kim was astounded by how brilliantly Hoban fought, and we can see how emotional the battle has made Hoban. Hoban recognizes that this is the ideal time for anything, so he reminds everyone watching his broadcast to subscribe and enable alerts. Paco has not returned to school since that day, but Hoban is confident that this is not due to Paco's fear of him. Hoban doesn't even believe he defeated Paco. Instead, he believes that despite pushing himself to death, all he achieved was a fortuitous blow. Paco's biggest fear must be that his fame has plummeted. Hoban becomes thrilled. Is this precisely what the jerk deserves? Even better, Hoban's viral hit YouTube channel is rising at a rapid pace. Hoban has nearly 15,000 subscribers, so he intends to keep working hard. Hoban then goes to offer his mother a gift, pretending that it wasn't expensive. She explains that his acquaintance visited a few days earlier. Hoban has no idea who she's talking about, and Snapper has come outside the room with a present. Hoban's mother tells him that the friend he mentioned provides him energy whenever he is there. Hoban recalls, but the acquaintance he told her about turns out to be Kim. Snapper is astonished to learn that it wasn't him the entire time, and he confronts Hoban about it. In actuality, Hoban considers Snapper a close buddy. They quarrel, but Hoban reflects on how, despite being a jerk, Snapper is actually rather nice. A little later, Snapper suggests to Hoban that they hire a professional editor. Snapper has been performing the editing, but he is a novice, and he believes hiring a skilled editor will help the channel expand even further. Even if the fundamental information is fantastic, individuals may become tired with it. Thus, they want an editor to keep it interesting. Hoban agrees and assumes they will have to put a job listing on a job board, but Snapper has a better plan. Hoban is then surprised to learn that Snapper has been streaming the entire time, and Snapper's solution is to ask their viewers if they would want to serve as their editor. Many of the responses indicate that this may not have been the best idea, so Hoban emphasizes that they want someone with video editing skills. Just then, Ding, the elderly man who breaks down Hoban's bouts, remarks that he has some experience. Snapper is skeptical of this guy since he is middle-aged, but Hoban is unconcerned with his age. He simply wants a competent editor. Snapper will give the person a chance because that is what Hoban wants, so he informs the elderly man that he will be interviewed. The next day, Hoban explains that he obtained the elderly guy's details, but his profile raises worries among the guys. Snapper is so anxious that he asks Hoban to block him. Hoban intends to follow his word, however, adds that the old man will be there shortly for the interview. The lads are scared he will chastise them, as old folks do. They are surprised when the old person turns out to be a woman. She continues to reprimand them, telling them that now is not the time to be surprised since they must do the interview. Her name is Gaywol, and she's famed for her cuteness. She isn't popular in her class, however, because she speaks like an elderly guy. She instructs the young whippersnappers to get a move on with the interview, and Snapper mocks her for using phrases that an elderly person would use. Gaywol pulls his finger to show out how impolite he is, but this only causes Snapper to daydream, much like Hoban's. In it, he arrives home after a long day at work and surprises his wife Gaywol with flowers. Gaywol is astonished to notice that one of the bouquets lacks flowers, so Snapper prepared to deliver the same smooth line Hoban used in his dream. Unfortunately, Snapper's dog, Hoban, interrupts him and reminds him to wake up. Snapper, who is having a half-daydream, encourages Hoban to sit and be a nice dog, but he quickly returns to reality. Snapper can't believe he daydreamed all of that simply because she stroked his palm and they watched the film she created for them. It opens with an introduction that impresses Hoban. Snapper is only admiring her little hands and wishing he could thumb wrestle with her. This makes Snapper want to recruit her straight now, when Hoban says they should view more of the video. Gale even integrated the funniest fan comments, which are one of the highlights of Hoban's channel. Hoban is unsure if he should hire her, so he asks whether she had any problems when editing. He is astonished when Gale reveals that she had trouble cutting out some sensitive stuff. There was even something on his underpants that may need to be taken out. Hoban is terribly ashamed, so he just agrees to hire her. With her talents, Hoban can see she could be recruited elsewhere, so he wonders why she chose them. Gale is merely a fan of his, so they agree to collaborate. Meanwhile, Bomi learns about Viral Hit's new editor. She points out that Hoban has time to concentrate on his YouTube channel, and she wonders if he has just decided not to contact her again. Even worse, he does not answer the phone. A gathering has collected nearby, and they appear to be quite anxious about something. Balmy checks and is surprised to discover that a group of men has been beaten up. One child is playing an arcade game when he is interrupted by a huge person who asks if he beat everyone up. The boy is more worried about losing his game and wonders if the huge person has 50 cents. Snapper informs Hoban about a man named Ta-hoon. He is a former fighter in the Max MMA League who was booted out for generating too many difficulties. There are a lot of nasty tales about this person, and it is reported that he has hit everyone in his high school at least once. Snapper reveals that the guy has been training Taekwondo since he was a youngster, but Snapper does not rate Taekwondo highly. He believes it is quite weak since all you have to do against it is watch out for kicks. When they attempt to kick, simply sweep their leg and bring them down. Snapper believes he could win versus a Taekwondo fighter. But Gale chastises the kids for thinking like amateurs. She explains that sport Taekwondo is unsuitable for a street fight, but combat Taekwondo is completely different. Sport Taekwondo focuses on scoring points in a set amount of time, whereas combat Taekwondo focuses on knocking an opponent out cold. We see an example of this when the youngster in the arcade kicks the huge person in the face. Gale states that an experiment was previously done to determine the speed and force of some great martial artists' kicks. The Muay Thai and Karate combatants had great figures, but the Taekwondo fighter merely quadrupled them. His kick reached a maximum speed of 220 km/h and a force of more than 1,000 kilograms. Hoban has no idea what any of this means for him, but Snapper reminds him that his channel is all about battling bullies. He then says Ta-hoon will be his next opponent. Hoban accepts this quietly at first, but gets horrified as he learns what Snapper has said. According to Gale, Taekwondo is currently quite popular. Many MMA fighters worldwide adopt Taekwondo tactics. Even at Discount Mike Tyson, the interviewee acknowledged that Taekwondo is fantastic. Gale argues that it is one of the few moves in which it is acceptable to turn your back on your opponent. It's called the back kick, and it's illustrated by their arcade youngster knocking out the large guy. Snapper obtained this guy's information from their viewers, which Hoban feels is fantastic. The difficulty is that Ta-hoon is not your typical thug, he's a professional fighter. Hoban has no idea what to do against a monster like him, and he wishes he could simply perform eating contests on his channel. Later, we find out more about Ta-hoon. He is regarded as the devil of Gangbuk High and is a psychopath who is dreaded by everyone at the school. Most people think he's just a regular thug who wants to steal someone's belongings, such as a nice pair of shoes, but the actual reason people nickname him the devil is that he loves to kidnap his victims' friends as hostages. Ta-hoon does not desire the items he steals. His true purpose is to have people watch their buddies get beaten up, filling their hearts with hopelessness and humiliation. Hoban can't bring himself to read more about this person since he's even worse than Paco. Hoban is afraid, so Snapper tells him that he cannot betray his audience. Hoban explains that he simply vowed to fight thugs, not skilled martial artists. Gale is so excited by the prospect of knocking up a bully that she wants to fight Ta-hoon herself. Hoban, on the other hand, has no reason to attack this person because they've never met. Ta-hoon dreams of being wealthy as he is confronted by some goons. They want vengeance, but Ta-hoon simply assaults them and asks for 50 cents, so he may return to the arcade. The huge guy claims that Taekwondo is all about constructing objects and that it would be meaningless once he gets hold of Ta-hoon. He is then taken aback as Ta-hoon effortlessly dodges his charge, and he cannot believe how powerful Ta-hoon's kick is. The man believes he'll be able to stop Ta-hoon's next strike, but Ta-hoon just smacks him with a series of kicks. Ta-hoon requests 50 cents again, so the large guy simply agrees to give it to him. Ta-hoon emphasizes that he was talking to a buddy, and a friend agrees to pay him 50 cents. Taehoon just knocks the huge guy up some more and begs the friend for $50 so he can go to the arcade. The companion agrees to do this as well, but Taehoon continues to beat the large guy up and demands $5,000 this time. Taehoon plans to punish the huge person because his pal does not have that sort of money. Snapper films this conversation close and is afraid since Taehoon is much more of a sociopath than the rumors suggest. Snapper understands what they promised their audience, but he determines that they should remain away from the maniac. He is horrified when Taehoon stares in his direction, but he manages to conceal just in time. Hobin then hails his friend on his hard effort, but warns him that he needs to be more careful next time. Hobin is relieved that Snapper escaped, but he quickly understands that their lives are gone when Taehoon discovers them. Snapper tells Taehoon that he was merely recording him since his taekwondo is so impressive. Hobin feels relieved that Snapper is such a smooth talker since he should be able to talk himself out of this dilemma. This is ideal since Hobin has yet to determine whether or not to confront Taehoon because he lacks a compelling reason. He's not a justice-driven hero and his physique can't handle every conflict that comes his way. Just then, Gil enters, presuming Taehoon is attempting to harm the boys, and Hobin believes she will start a fight with him. This might be disastrous, resulting in an emergency similar to what happened with Bomi. Giggle immediately stops, and Hobin knows she is just as terrified as they are. They explain that they will just erase the footage and attempt to depart. The gang is surprised, however, when Taehoon discovers that they are from the viral hit YouTube channel and that he has heard allegations that they plan to beat him up. He also heard they earn a lot of money, so he asks Hobin to give him his YouTube channel. This appears to be standard thug conduct, but Taehoon is not like the others. Taehoon accomplishes exactly as the rumors claim, taking the victim's friends hostage by striking Snapper. Hobin recalls that Taehoon does not truly desire what he takes. His true intention is to make them see their buddies get beaten up. He wants them to feel weak and humiliated. Taehoon insists that Hobin give him his YouTube channel again, this time for 50 cents. The scene starts with Taehoon beating up Snapper cold-heartedly. Hobin is there and Gil is there too. Hobin tries to simulate a calf kick, but his inner self tells him it won't work. He tries again to simulate an overhand hook, but again, his inner self tells him it won't work either. The conclusion is that he will lose no matter what he tries. Hobin doesn't want anyone to get hurt anymore. He surrenders his YouTube channel to Taehoon, a violent streamer who uses violence to make people feel powerless and ashamed. Snapper and Gaewol are surprised by what they hear. Taehoon even slaps Hobin because he never thought Hobin would let his YouTube channel go so easily. After relieving the pain from the slap, Hobin comes up with a condition, that Taehoon will not hurt them again. Snapper ends up in the hospital with cracked ribs from Taehoon's back kick. While peeling an apple, Hobin asks Snapper if he's angry about the recent events. Hobin even justifies his actions, saying that if he hadn't done what he did, it might have been more than just cracked ribs. Hobin continues, reasoning that Taehoon is a psychopath who is better left to the authorities. Snapper is fine with that reasoning, but he still cannot accept it. He will never give up their YouTube channel, even if he gets beaten up. He recalls when Hobin went mano a mano with Paco and how it inspired him, showing that even a weakling can bring about miracles, which boosted his courage. But now, Hobin's actions have dispersed those views. Snapper asks Hobin if he has any pride. Hobin says nope loudly and clearly, shocking Snapper. Hobin adds that he has his reasons, stating that his pride is nothing worth defending and that Taehoon is on a whole different level compared to Paco. He's scared and doesn't want to get hurt. Hobin then says sorry while leaving Snapper, who understands Hobin's thoughts and is fine with it. While passing the hospital room door, Hobin passes Gil, who is visiting Snapper. Snapper jokes that he will beat up Taehoon with no problem if he were in better condition and tells Gil to leave him alone. When Snapper is alone, he cries. When he faced Taehoon, he hoped he could show off to Gil, but the contrary happened. It became an embarrassing moment showcasing how pitiful he is. In silence, behind the wall, Hobin hears Snapper cry. Hobin understands Snapper's feelings because he has been in Snapper's shoes. At the arcade, everyone is afraid because Taehoon is there. He plays the Taekwondo arcade game alone and no one dares to come close. Then Hobin comes to play at the arcade too, facing Taehoon in the Taekwondo arcade game. Some scared passersby see the game from Taehoon's side. Taehoon plays tirelessly but is perfectly defeated. Taehoon freezes for a moment because he lost. Hobin taunts that Taehoon isn't that impressive at all. Hobin recalls Sambek Lessons 1. Get the opponent worked up. Taehoon approaches Hobin with his dreadful look. Hobin is scared, but he manages to stay in control. Hobin says that he came to offer his YouTube channel to Taehoon if Taehoon can beat him in a month from now. Hobin trembles inside, but his mother's spirit pushes his courage more than his fear. Hobin offers his YouTube channel and his friends under those terms. Taehoon smirks at Hobin's idea and wants Hobin's YouTube channel right away. But Hoban has already made up his mind, and with a sweaty face, he mocks Taehoon if he's scared of being beaten by him. Taehoon gets worked up and he accepts Hoban's challenge. Hoban wets himself a little while staring ferociously at Taehoon, but Hoban got what he wanted. In the hospital room, Gaul and Snapper are shocked by Hoban's story. Gaul is angry about Hoban's actions at the arcade and is willing to give him a special calf kick, but Snapper holds her back. Snapper wonders about Hoban's intentions. Earlier, Hoban told him that he didn't want to get hurt, but now it seems like Hoban will get hurt more than before. Hoban shows his unordinary self in a slip of the moment, remembering Snapper crying alone in the hospital room. When Hoban is about to leave, Gaul tries to hold him back to show her kicks, but he must go. He has to prepare in a month, and that is a lot shorter than they think. Hoban leaves the hospital room with a determined face. Back in his room, Hoban returns to watching Sandbag's videos to learn Taekwondo. He watches The Brawling Technique. How to Fight. Lesson 3. How to beat a Taekwondo fighter in a fight as a regular person. Sandbag says that beating a Taekwondo fighter in a fight as a regular person is impossible, totally impossible. The best course of action is to give up. Hoban is bewildered by Sandbag's teaching. He really hopes to find a way to fight Taehoon. Sandbag continues in his video, stating that when on the receiving end of a Taekwondo back kick, it could end up deadly. Hoban becomes even more bewildered, with big sweat on his face. Sandbag continues his reasoning, explaining why a regular person can never be a pro Taekwondo fighter. Taekwondo boasts smooth footwork and powerful kicks, leaving a regular person with no chance at all. However, there is a small chance if the fight were a brawl outside the ring. Sandbag reminds his viewers that he's teaching them to fight, not to do martial arts. He teaches that beating Taekwondo with its smooth footwork and powerful kicks in a street fight is simple. Just make sure they can't use their feet by controlling the environment. And if the fight happens outside of the ring, it's possible to employ this tactic. Every martial art has environment-based restrictions, and Taekwondo is no exception. For example, a regular person can control the environment with unsure footing or by fighting in a slippery place. Hoban's eyes sparkle with joy hearing that. He comes up with ideas and decides to fight Taehoon on a rainy day. Sandbag tells the audience that once they have selected the fight location, they should begin training and suggests reviewing the moves they have already learned. Hoban remembers having a sandbag and decides to use it to improve his calf kick, moves that Gaul is proud of. Sandbag adds that they should brush up on calf kicks and overhand hooks to make sure they're always available. He emphasizes that there are 3 essentials to fighting: build, stamina, and willpower. While Sandbag explains, the scene fills with part of Hoban's training, swimming in the pool. When Hoban is full of joy, thinking he has found a glimmer of hope to beat Taehoon, Sandbag continues to say that they still won't be able to win, and the chance of winning is still only 5%. Hoban is shocked and bewildered once again. Sandbag teaches a move to raise the chance to 40%, a tackle. Hoban's expensive sandbag is broken. Sandbag urges the audience to practice tackling by improving their core muscles, using water resistance to train muscles, hearts, lungs, and overall stamina. The scene shows Hoban training in a cold public bath when a kid points at his tiny thingy. Snapper and Gaewol come to Hoban's room, bringing a camera for live streaming. Many live stream audience members comment about Hoban's house. Hoban's room is not locked and they cannot find him. Snapper hears some noise from the closet. It turns out Hoban was practicing inside the closet, hanging from the clothes hanger rod with both of his hands. Snapper is shocked to find Hoban inside the closet. Snapper suggests that Hoban should train in a public park, but Hoban refuses, asking why a loser should train in public. The live stream comments about Gail being a cutie pie. The scene continues with Sandbag teaching to raise the chance of winning from 40% to 50%, namely abs training to withstand a Taekwondo back kick. In the scene, Hoban is doing sit-up training when Gail arrives. She loses her jacket and starts trampling on Hoban's stomach while Snapper records with his live stream camera. Hoban chooses an alley near his house as the fight location. It's not narrow enough, but that's fine. It was forecasted a week before that the day of Hoban's fight would be rainy. However, it turns out the forecast was wrong. It didn't rain. Snapper shoots a live stream for Hoban. He is relieved that it's not raining because rain would mess with the footage. He then asks about Hoban's secret plan while Hoban nervously remains silent. Hoban desperately runs off from the planned location because he thinks that if it doesn't rain, his plan will fail. In the public restroom, Taehoon watches Snapper's live stream when Hoban runs off the site. Then a spray of water hits Taehoon. It's Hoban with a water hose muttering Sandbag's lesson 1. Get the opponent worked up. Taehoon is taken aback by what Hoban is doing. Hoban then sprays water all over the floor and walls of the restroom while muttering Sandbag's lesson 3. How to beat a Taekwondo fighter. Take away their kicks. If it doesn't rain naturally, make it rain. After being confident that the preparations were sufficient, Hoban rushes to attack Taehoon. Contrary to what Hoban planned for, he is beaten up by Taehoon's fists, not his kicks. Snapper is bewildered as he watched with his live stream camera, seeing Hoban being beaten by Taehoon. Taehoon slaps Hoban many times while holding his t-shirt. When Hoban regains his calm, he launches his ordinary kick, the calf kick. The live stream audience is surprised that Hoban can still kick on the slippery floor. It turns out Hoban is wearing water shoes that prevent him from slipping when kicking. Hoban mutters that he's hurt and wants to give up, but Snapper raises his thumb and Hoban does too. Hoban smiles, holding on for 3 minutes so they can insert ads. The scene continues with Hoban fighting Taehoon in the school bathroom. Hoban realizes the difference in speed between him and Taehoon. Taehoon moves incredibly fast even on the wet floor without wearing water shoes like Hoban. Hoban recalls his fight with Paco, where he could maintain some distance. However, with Taehoon predicting his moves, it's impossible to do the same. Hoban understands that Taehoon is on a completely different level, far beyond Paco. As they fight, Hoban notices Taehoon slipping on the wet floor, but using it to his advantage to close the distance. This confirms that Taehoon is a pro fighter with flawless footwork, even in a disadvantageous environment. Hoban can't even run away. Despite the vast difference in their skill levels, Hoban refuses to give up. He is confident that he can last at least 3 minutes, thanks to a month of hard training. He launches his calf kick, a move he's practiced repeatedly. Hoban realizes that Taehoon's punches are too fast for him to use the how to get hit without getting hurt technique, and he's taking all the hits, draining his stamina. He launches his calf kick again while tanking Taehoon's punches. Snapper, who is recording the fight on a live stream, wonders why Hoban keeps shouting his moves when he attacks. Snapper thinks Hoban should stop doing that. If Hoban continues like this, it's only a matter of time before he gets knocked out. Snapper is puzzled about why Hoban is fixated on the calf kick. He speculates that it might be part of Hoban's strategy, perhaps to set up another move while Taehoon expects the calf kick. It turns out Snapper is right. After Taehoon becomes accustomed to receiving a calf kick following Hoban's shouts, Hoban surprises him by launching a different move, a tackle. Hoban successfully catches Taehoon off guard. A flashback shows a part of Sandbag's video, where he teaches about a real tackle. A proper tackle targets the back of the knees. The fighter should grab the opponent's knees and pull, taking down a bigger foe easily. Sandbag calls it the double leg tackle. Back to the fight, Hoban manages to tackle Taehoon, bringing him down to the floor. Taehoon is still surprised while lying on the floor. Snapper is also surprised, feeling something is off. He wonders if Hoban can really take Taehoon down so easily. The scene flashes back to Sandbag's video, where he explains what to do after taking down an opponent. The fighter should not just swing down and punch. If facing a pro fighter, they only have one chance, a cross choke. Sandbag explains how to perform it. Slide your hand into the opponent's collar, grab their clothes and pull hard. Entangle the opponent like they're in a spider web so they cannot resist. Then cross the other hand over and clench the fist as hard as possible. This move puts pressure on the carotid artery, and counting to 10 will make the opponent go unconscious. Hoban follows Sandbag's instructions from the video, but he's impatient, thinking it's his only chance to take down Taehoon. Clenching his teeth, he slides his hand into Taehoon's collar, grabs his clothes, and pulls hard in a rush. He tries to entangle Taehoon with a cross choke, clenching both his hands hurriedly, but nothing happens to Taehoon. While Hoban counts the seconds, Taehoon makes a joke about him. Hoban wonders why the move failed. Taehoon, smiling, realizes this is Hoban's first real fight. He noticed Hoban got impatient while executing the choke, violating lesson number 1, never get worked up. Sandbag's video emphasized that less experienced fighters should stay calm and proceed slowly, step by step. Hoban's impatience led him to lose track of the basics despite all his hard work over the past month. Taehoon praises Hoban's moves, a series of calf kicks followed by a tackle into a cross choke. Snapper, still recording with his camera, thinks Hoban was so close to winning the fight. Some live stream viewers comment that Taehoon let himself get taken down on purpose. Snapper is bewildered by the comments. It turns out to be true. Taehoon allowed himself to be taken down to steal one of Hoban's water shoes. Taehoon shows Hoban the shoe, which he took without Hoban noticing. Hoban wonders when Taehoon took his shoe. One viewer comments that no way a pro fighter could be taken down by a single tackle from an amateur. Hoban recalls Sandbag's video, which advises that if a strategy to strip away the opponent's kicking ability fails, it's better to run away immediately. Gil, watching the live stream, is bewildered and worried about Hoban. Sandbag's video continues, saying that when fully unleash a kick and have the force of a 1-ton truck. The scene shows Taehoon wearing the single water shoe he took from Hoban, finally ready to kick. The scene shifts to a cafe where Munsung Kim, a rising MMA star in Korea, is sitting and watching the livestream. Bulma Choi stands beside him. Munsung asks Balmy if she's sure she doesn't want to watch the fight. He understands that Balmy is still angry at Hoban for ignoring her calls. Munsung adds that Hoban is facing a pro fighter and managed to land a move. After hearing Munsung's comment, Balmy suddenly pushes him to get a better view of the livestream, although she claims she's not interested. Munsung comments that Hoban messed up the last action. When Balmy asks if Hoban will win the fight, Munsung turns off his phone screen, saying it's better for Balmy not to watch the fight right now. Back to the fight, Taehoon is now wearing Hoban's water shoe. Snapper, worried, screams for Hoban to wake up. Hoban is still in a state of confusion, realizing that Taehoon let him land the tackle and cross choke just to take one of his shoes. Hoban wonders if all this hard training over the past month has been in vain. Many viewers in the livestream cheer for Hoban, urging him not to give up. Hoban apologizes to the audience, saying there's no way he can beat Taehoon. He had zero chance from the start. Snapper yells, thinking Hoban wanted to make money while Hoban is still dazed. Hoban snaps out of it after hearing Snapper's words, acknowledging the audience's support. He recalls Sandbag's teaching that Taekwondo fighters can only unleash their true power if they can use both feet. He also remembers Snapper once said that Taehoon's dominant foot is his right one. Since Taehoon is wearing Hoban's water shoe on his right foot, he'll use his left foot to kick to avoid slipping. Hoban intends to try his strategy one more time, land a tackle and finish with a cross choke. But before he can finish his thought, Taehoon's left foot flies toward him, kicking him right in the stomach. A glimpse of Sandbag's teaching flashes through Hoban's mind. Being kicked in the stomach by a pro fighter will make the fighter's head go completely blank, and no one can stay sharp after being hit by such a powerful kick. Indeed, Hoban can't breathe, his vision goes blank, and his mind is completely absent after Taehoon's kick. He doesn't know what happened, let alone what he's supposed to do. In a split second, he hears Snapper yell at him to snap out of it. Hoban tries to throw a punch mindlessly after hearing Snapper's yell, but Taehoon easily lands another kick to Hoban's head before Hoban's punch can connect. Hoban tries another attack, the calf kick, but before he can finish shouting his move, Taehoon has already kicked him multiple times in the head. Sandbag's words echo in Hoban's mind. All the hard work will go down the drain as Taekwondo moves can strike from any angle. Hoban goes blank after receiving many of Taehoon's kicks to the head. Taehoon raises his left foot high and then tramples Hoban's right foot with his back foot. Hoban screams in pain. Taehoon tells Hoban not to worry about his feet, saying he's still going easy on him and that his bones shouldn't be broken from Taehoon's moves. Seeing Hoban in pain, Snapper begs Taehoon to stop while still holding the camera for the live stream. Sandbag's words flash through Hoban's mind again. A Taekwondo back kick, if it lands cleanly, is a surefire knockout. Then Taehoon launches his majestic back kick, which blasts Hoban down. Snapper falls to his knees, devastated. Taehoon touches Hoban's stomach with his finger, joking that Hoban is lucky. If it had been Taehoon's right leg, Hoban might be dead after that kick. He asks Hoban if he's alright, suggesting he might have cracked a rib or two. Taehoon moves towards Snapper to claim the promised YouTube channel, talking about working together and asking what kind of content they should make. Snapper tells him to stop. Taehoon, confused, asks why he should stop when they haven't even started. But Snapper isn't talking to Taehoon, he's talking to Hoban, asking him to stop. With blank eyes, Hoban leans against the wall. He murmurs that Taekwondo back kicks are dangerous even if they don't land fully, and that a fighter needs to build up a body that can resist them. He mentions lesson number 3, how to beat a Taekwondo fighter in a fight as a regular person. Hoban continues murmuring about controlling the environment to take away their ability to kick, and then tells the livestream audience to stay tuned while standing in the toilet stall. Snapper begs Hoban to stop, saying he doesn't have to go this far, but Hoban doesn't care anymore. Yelling like a usual streamer, Hoban tells the audience to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button, clenching his teeth and raising both hands, ready for the fight. Taehoon looks at Hoban with pity, telling him that standing in a toilet stall with walls on all sides won't prevent him from using kicks, and that Hoban will never win this way. But Hoban insists. Taehoon then launches another Taekwondo back kick, a majestic move with air resistance moving along Taehoon's left foot. Taehoon's aura glows, showing the power of a pro fighter. But this time, it's different. Hoban manages to evade Taehoon's kick. Hoban grabs the upper rod of the toilet stall and swings his body high, moving so fast that Taehoon's kick misses its target. Taehoon and Snapper are both surprised, their mouths wide open. Taehoon miscalculated, thinking Hoban was standing in the toilet stall to prevent his kick, but it turns out Hoban used it to evade the kick. Hoban cleverly uses the environment and his hard training, holding onto the rod to evade Taehoon's kick. Hoban's body swung up high and then landed on Taehoon while Taehoon was still dazed. When Taehoon's body hit the floor, Hoban, with a heavy roar, launched another move, the choke. But this time, it was a baseball choke. Hoban executed the choke flawlessly, unlike the first time. He did it step by step, focused and unhurried. The scene shifts to Munsong, who is still watching the live stream. He recognizes that this move is different from Hoban's first choke. It's a perfect baseball choke. The scene flashes back to an arcade moment when Taehoon looked down on Hoban. Munsong acknowledges that to Taehoon, Hoban was less than human, just a toy to satisfy his bloodlust. Hoban's height is not even 170 centimeters, and his weight barely 50 kilograms. He was a plaything to Taehoon. But now, the toy is filling him with powerlessness and shame. It's just like that time when Taehoon was defeated by Munsong in the MMA fight ring. It was the first time Taehoon tasted defeat, an unforgettable moment when he encountered his setback as a fighter. Just like that time he tapped out, the most humiliating moment for a fighter when they admit defeat in front of the audience. And he knows as a pro fighter, he was defeated by a far lesser fighter, by a toy. Snapper moves closer to the fight after Hoban successfully chokes Taehoon, who taps out. He tells Hoban to stop, he has already won the fight. But it's not a ring fight, it's a brawl outside the ring. There's no bell rung by a tap out, and then the worst happens. The inexperienced Hoban is so focused that he doesn't even notice Taehoon tapping out. Snapper moves even closer, warning Hoban to stop. He worries that if this continues, Taehoon might be killed. But no matter how loudly Snapper screams, the sound doesn't reach Hoban's ears. The only voice Hoban can hear is Sandbag's teaching. A street brawl is not a martial arts contest in a ring. Never let your guard down until the opponent is unconscious. Once you pull off the baseball choke, count to 10 to make sure the opponent ends up unconscious. Otherwise, the opponent will surely get up again. After counting to 10, Hoban releases his choke and screams that he's winning. The scene flashes back to Taehoon's fight in the MMA ring, where he was defeated by Munsong in a similar manner. Taehoon goes blank and becomes unconscious. When Taehoon wakes up, he's already on the floor. He hears Snapper nagging Hoban that they must leave before Taehoon regains consciousness. But Hoban insists they can't leave Taehoon like that. When Taehoon makes a noise, they both stammer. Hoban explains that he was just worried about Taehoon's watch, which seems important to him. Taehoon throws his hand at Hoban, but as he leaves, he admits that he lost and tells Hoban he can have his YouTube channel. And like a usual defeated antagonist, he doesn't forget to tell Hoban that he'll make sure Hoban regrets it when he sees him again. Hoban makes a joke, telling Snapper to stay clear of the arcade. Hoban continues with his objective, the ads. Do we need to continue to tell Hoban's ad segment? Okay, we'll do it. It's an ad about Active Aura, the amazing body spray. Hoban sprays the perfume with a lot of gimmicks, and it's done. Sorry, we made it short. Both Snapper and Hoban screen happily after the ad shot and end the live stream. At Ghoul's house, she was editing the live stream footage. She inserted the ad scene into the live stream footage. While editing, she felt some worry for Hoban when she saw the scenes of him getting kicked by Taehoon. Despite her concerns, she finished the edit and completed the upload of the content. The title of the video was I Went Mano a Mano with a Taekwondo Fighter. The video scored 3 million views almost instantly. Hoban made a thank you video for his viewers while doing an upside-down pose. It was a successful video, but they didn't know that the video would become a tragedy for them. This is the end of Viral Hit Episode 1 to Episode 8. Thank you so much for staying in this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you updated with our latest contents. See you in the next video.